Welcome to episode 137 of the Idea Space podcast. I am your host, Jen Liddy, and this week I want to tell you a story that might feel a little vulnerable to tell you, but I don't want you to hear it and feel bad for me, okay? I've worked through everything I'm going to share with you today, and I'm sharing it because I hope that it helps you. We're talking about how to be more visible in your business and overcome the fears that come when we have to show ourselves to our audiences. Now, last week I introduced you to Alice Patterson, my brand photographer, and you heard us talk about the frustrations and the fears around scaling a business. We also talked a little bit about the mental struggles that women have around getting their branding photos taken. You know, how we feel we need to be perfect or flawless or thin or whatever it is for you. And what we do instead of putting photos of ourselves out there is maybe we hide behind stock photos or memes or inspirational quotes in our socials, etc. Why am I sharing this with you today? Because I learned from firsthand experience that owners of businesses who are a personal brand, it is incredibly important for our audiences to see our faces regularly, consistently. So I want to tell you the story of how hard this was for me to do, because maybe you feel like you'd rather be invisible and never have to show your face. Maybe you even resent the fact that you have to show up and show a personal side of yourself, and especially showing who you are. And I want to explain how I overcame that fear and that resentment and what worked for me. Maybe it'll work for you too. So back in April 2017, I had my first set of professional photos done for my personal brand. Now, I had photos done before in my first business, but those were for like magazine shoots. It wasn't like we were putting them out on the regular in our socials or in our emails or on our website or anything. But my personal brand shoot was a real professional shoot. It was with makeup done by a professional, outfits chosen with a professional stylist help. Like, it was a big deal. And I was nervous as hell, but Alice did a wonderful job of being calm and creating a space that I could feel comfortable in during the shoot. Now, one of her signature style is that she does profile portraits that aren't just boring headshots. So in this shoot, we even did a few outfit changes and we used props. And I knew that she would give me a few different looks so that I could start using them on my social media and website. But when I got the digital files back, and she hates hearing this, she knows this story, but I could barely tolerate looking at them. And it sounds weird, but it was kind of painful to see myself in these photos because, well, first of all, the problem was not the photos. The photos were beautiful, excellent quality. They weren't cheesy or anything. I wasn't doing anything I was embarrassed about. The problem was just in my head, because I've always, my whole life, hated pictures of myself. I just could barely stand to see how I looked. So I sat on those photos for almost a year. And when I put them out for the first time, I really sweated. I felt so sick pressing post, because I literally thought people would say, like, who do you think you are? Like, having a fancy photo shoot. You're nobody, right? You're a nobody. You're not a model. You're old. You're fat. And also, you're not photogenic. I kind of, imagine people thinking, are you kidding me? Who does she think she is? She's not even a real entrepreneur. Who the hell are you? Now, if you and I are connected on the socials or on my email list, or you've listened or read to almost anything I share now, you might be scratching your head because that doesn't sound like me, right? And honestly, it's kind of hard to say these things out loud right now because I've done so much work around these thoughts that giving them airtime feels almost like I'm betraying myself. But I really want to talk about how I went from thinking people would flame me on social media for sharing a professional photo to literally gaining 40 pounds, moving into my 50s, and putting out more photos of myself than ever. It just seems like disconnect. So how did I do it? Well, first, we have to talk about what motivated me. I didn't believe it at the time, but not allowing my audience to see my face kept a barrier between me and them. So, and at that time in 2017, I had a really creative assistant who would design my visuals. She did these really cute Canva visuals. They were super colorful, fun, and relevant to my themes each week. And I didn't realize this then, but I was hiding behind them. I never wanted to be seen. And I was afraid for all the reasons I stated before, like, who are you to do this? You're not a real entrepreneur. You don't look good in pictures, blah, blah, blah. And I couldn't see it. I couldn't see that I was hiding. But I was really holding my business back because we live in a visual world, and social media, if you're using it as a marketing platform, it's all about seeing. People there are bombarded with information, and the visuals help them differentiate, who you are among the sea of information coming at them. Now, the screen is a barrier as it is. We're not in real life. We're not sitting down having coffee or having lunch. I'm not speaking on a stage. We're not going for a walk. The energy between us is muffled by the screen. And hiding behind a curtain of memes or inspirational quotes, stock photos, and Canva created visuals added just another layer between me and my audience. But when I first started putting my pictures out there, first of all, I got so much love from people. People were so positive. They made comments like, "It's so great to see your face, Jen." And next, my business started growing much more easily and quickly because people were seeing me. They could see my face. They could see that I was a real person. I could develop some trust with them. I even have a few stories of being recognized in public, like at a coffee shop and even at JFK Airport in New York City. It was the craziest thing. Somebody recognized me from social media. So letting my face be seen was the scariest thing. And if I had never done it, I'm convinced my business would still feel incredibly hard to grow. So you're probably thinking like, okay, I get it. I understand. How do you do it? Let's talk about that. There were 3 things that I did. The first one was I had to really get courageous. Now, courageous doesn't mean that you've overcome fear and you've squashed it all down. Courage means that you are afraid and you do that thing anyway. Because if you think like it's so easy for me to put myself out there because I'm unafraid, you'd be wrong. Even today, I simply put myself out there because our audiences need to see us. And hiding behind memes or inspirational quotes, stock photos, it doesn't help our audience to know us. Remember how many times your audience may have been screwed over by somebody who promised to help them but didn't, or they bought something that didn't work, right? Remember how much information is being blasted at them. They need to know you before they'll buy from you. And no, this doesn't mean that you have to bleed all over the internet and be highly vulnerable, share your most inner scars and wounds. No. What it means is you put yourself out there. It's basically a case of be afraid and do it anyway. Now, a byproduct of doing that, of putting myself out there over and over, is that I'm much less afraid now. Yes, sometimes I think my audience must be so sick of my face because I am so sick of my face. But I'm not afraid to put myself out there because I really see the rewards of it. And I say that as a woman who has gained 40 pounds since starting this, and I have continually gotten older. Let's talk about the second thing that I did to overcome wanting to be invisible, and that is consistency. If you want to like the way that you look in photos, take a lot of photos of yourself and don't try to make them perfect and look at them all the time because this is how you look. That's just the fact. This is how you look. But we see you with kinder, gentler, more accepting, loving eyes than you have for your own image. Your job is to learn how to see yourself in that way. It's kind of like immersion therapy. Look at yourself all the time. That's how you look, and we love you anyway. Remind yourself that you don't have to be perfect. The people who love you, your audience, your friends, your family, your community, we see you and we love you for who you are right now. In our eyes, we already love you. And as a byproduct of that, we love how you look. We accept you for everything that you are. And you don't have to be, fill in the blank. For me, it was, thin, super cool, super maybe funky. I just am pretty boring and vanilla. And I'm a size 14 white woman who's 51 years old. That is, do you know how long it took me to be able to say that? And the only reason it's easy for me to say that now is because of how many times I have just looked at my pictures and put them out there anyway. People will love you because you're you. Please start to desensitize yourself to the fact that you're not a model. You're not a model, nor do you have to be one to put yourself out there. This was the biggest hurdle for me because I always wanted to look different. I always wished I was smaller, thinner, prettier. Add in whatever white woman socially accepted standards that you want to. I spent 40 plus years wishing for that. So the most powerful thing I've done to grow my business, to create consistency with my content, and most importantly, start accepting myself, is to simply look at myself all the damn time. But I want to say, do I love every picture? No, of course not. But doing this consistently has really helped me claim who I am. And that's brought me a lot of peace. And now the third thing I want you to think about is having support, because support is where things can really change for you. Do you have a relationship with a photographer who makes you feel comfortable and captures the real you? Do you have a group of business friends who encourage you to put yourself out there? Who are your people that you can ask for a warm hug when you need it or a kick in the ass when you need it? Have you ever done a photo shoot and hated the outcome? Maybe you and the photographer didn't click, or maybe the photographer wasn't great at helping you feel comfortable, but maybe you didn't know what you needed, or maybe you're judging yourself too harshly about those pictures. Maybe you have a bunch of beautiful photos sitting on your computer that you're simply judging yourself too harshly about. Because, we're surrounded by influencers, and yes, they are younger and thinner and richer, and they are having more fun and adventures, and they are way cooler, and they dress better. Is that who you're comparing yourself to? That's just a setup for failure. And if you don't have a group of people supporting you, like real people who help you see that staying invisible is keeping your business difficult and small, real people who can talk you off the ledge when you want to give up, then you're struggling so much more than you have to. Find a community of people like yourself. You don't even have to leave your house. There are Facebook groups filled with entrepreneurs who want to be real like you. Find an accountability friend or business buddy, somebody who can help you keep publishing and being consistent. Find a photographer that you could be in a relationship with, because a one and done photo shoot can feel really overwhelming and like all your eggs are in this one basket, so it has to be perfect, and that can make you nervous. And that's why I love Alice's photo membership that we talked about last week. And that's why working with her over and over is so great, because she's like learned me. Like she's learned my algorithm, she's learned my best side, the parts of myself that I don't like photographed. I don't like to be photographed from the side or sitting down because I'm uncomfortable with my midsection. She knows that. And so we just put myself in spots where that won't happen, right? Also, because I'm in a relationship with her, I feel safe to try new things. She has captured me dancing, for God's sake. I would never do that in front of somebody I didn't know. And another trick that I use to help me put consistent visuals of myself out there is to hand the job of picking photographs and visuals over to my virtual assistant, Jessica. Now, I love Jessica, and she is my right-hand person, and I don't know what I will do when she leaves me someday. But she just chooses the photos, and I never know which ones are going to accompany anything I write. And it's just so freeing because she always chooses the right photo, and I've never had to pore over that and add my own layer of judgment on top of it. So I know I've shared a lot here today, but I hope I've gotten you to think about the importance of not hiding from your audience, the importance of consistency, because it does require a sense of trust in yourself and in your audience to put yourself out there. And yes, it is very scary to do. But please stop BSing yourself that your audience doesn't need to see you. They do. They have to fall in like with you in order to trust you and then buy from you, and then they'll fall in love with you. Give them the chance to do that. Consistency is everything. If you're not showing up for your audience, how can you expect them to show up for you? If you need help with consistency in your content, I recommend the Content Creators Studio membership, because in there, we literally talk about how to be consistent every week, what to let go of, what you can start doing differently, how to make it all easier. We have accountability check-ins, trainings that make content creating so much easier and more effective. And we also have co-working sessions to help us simply get some shit done. Learn more at jenliddy.com/studio. I would love to see you in there, and I will see you next week. I hope this has helped you put yourself out there just a little bit more. Bye-bye.